grace, the matchless grace of Jesus, deeper than the mighty rolling sea, the rolling sea. Higher than the mountains, sparkling like a fountain, all-sufficient grace for even me. Broader than the scope of my transgressions, greater far than all my sin and shame. Oh, magnify the precious name of Jesus, praise his name. Wonderful grace of Jesus, reaching to all the lost. By it I have been pardoned, saved to the uttermost. Chains have been torn asunder, giving me liberty. For the wonderful grace of Jesus reaches me. Wonderful, the matchless grace of Jesus, deeper than the mighty rolling sea, the rolling sea. Higher than the mountains, sparkling like a fountain, all-sufficient grace for even me. Broader than the scope of my transgressions, greater far than all my sin and shame. Oh, magnify the precious name of Jesus, praise his name. Wonderful the matchless grace, wonderful the matchless grace of Jesus. Good, sit up here.
Now there were 3 children from the land of Israel. They took a little trip into the land of Babylon. Now Nebuchadnezzar was the king of Babylon. He took a lot of gold and he made him an idol.
Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. Well, they told everybody when you hear the music of the cornet. Oh yeah.
Well, they told everybody when you hear the music of the flute.
Well, they told everybody when you hear the music of the horn.
Great God, they said you gotta bow down and worship the idol.
Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego.
But the children of Israel would not bow down. You couldn't fool them with that golden idol.
Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego.
I said you couldn't fool them with that golden idol.
Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego.
So the king put the children in the fiery furnace.
Shadrach,
Great God, he heaped on the coals in the red-hot brimstone.
Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego.
Made it 7 times hotter, hotter than it ought to be. The good book says, even burned up the soldiers that the king had put there.
Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. Oh, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. Whoa.
But the Lord God set him in nature, and he gave him a couple of wings. And he went on down into the middle of the furnace and began to cool the flames. Them children got so happy, they went strutting right through the fire, just laughing and talking about the power of the gospel.
Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. Oh, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. Oh.
Then old Nebuchadnezzar said, hey there, when he saw the power of the Lord.
And they had a big time in the land of Babylon. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. Oh, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Good morning. Oh, I like that. I got something back. Well, as you go ahead and find your seats and we get settled, I want to welcome you to our Monday Community Chapel. And today we have some special guests with us. This is a Preview Day Chapel. And so let's give a warm welcome to our Preview Day students here. Thank you. Are they over there? All right. Thank you. So glad that you could be on campus today. We hope that you enjoy your experience, and we'll be praying for you. Well, I got my man right here. Y'all know this guy? This is Elliot Lawrence. Oh, my bad. I should let you say your name.
My name's Elliot Lawrence.
So, Elliot in a second is going to pray for you all. And but I also want to announce who's doing chapel today. So we have this, I'm trying to think of a good way to say this. I want to say banging, but we have this just really awesome group that's on campus, and they're going to be doing chapel today. We have Enactus. And yeah. No, wait. Y'all can't cheer for yourselves, can you? All right. Cheering for each other, that works. So before we get started and before we have these gentlemen come back up and sing some more for us, the male chorus, that was dope, right? Under the leadership or the directorship of Doug Porterfield. They'll be coming back in a second. But I'm going to have Elliot pray for our chapel time this morning. Elliot.
Will you all join me in an attitude of prayer? Hey, God, thank you so much for allowing us to all be here today and allow us to experience your spirit. Thank you for giving Enactus the opportunity to share their wonderful ministry with us and how they're impacting the Rochester area and the world as a whole. In your son's powerful and precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Let's welcome the male chorus as they come.
Well, it's a great, great morning, your first day in heaven, when you stroll down the Golden Avenue. There are mansions left and right, and you thrill to every side, and the saints are always smiling, saying, how do you do? Oh, it's a great, great morning, your first day in heaven, when you realize your worrying days are through. You'll be glad you are not idle, took time to read your Bible, it's a great morning for you.
Had a dream and I'll confess I hated to awake.
He dreamt he was an angel at the great pearly gate.
Where have you been?
We've got your mention ready, Ben, come right in.
And then he rang for an angel to act as his guide.
He spread his wings a time or two and learned how to fly.
It's a great, great morning, your first day in heaven, when you stroll down the Golden Avenue. There are mansions left and right, and you thrill to every side, and the saints are always smiling, saying, how do you do? Oh, it's a great, great morning, your first day in heaven, when you realize your worrying days are through. You'll be glad you are not idle, took time to read your Bible. It's a great morning, a great morning. What a happy day. A great morning, a great, great morning. What a happy day.
Good morning. If we could have you all stand with us as we get ready to worship the Lord together. You were the Word at the beginning, one with God the Death could not hold you, the veil torn before you. You silenced the boast of sin and grave. The heavens are roaring, the praise of your glory. For you are raised to life again. You have no rival, you have no equal. Now and forever, God, you reign. Yours is the kingdom, yours is the glory, yours is the name above all names. What a powerful name it is! What a powerful name it is! The name of Jesus Christ, my King. What a powerful name it is! Nothing can stand against. What a powerful name it is! The name of Jesus. What a powerful name it is! The name of Jesus. What a powerful name it is! The name of Jesus. The moon and stars, they wept. The morning sun was dead. The Savior of the world was fallen. His body on the cross, his blood poured out for us. The weight of every curse upon him. One final breath he gave as heaven looked away. The Son of God was laid in darkness. A battle in the grave as war on death was waged. The power of hell forever broken. The ground began to just for everything that you are in our lives and all that you do and how good you are. Thank you that you sent your son to die for us, and thank you that he is glorious and he is risen. And Lord, I pray for the rest of this chapel. I pray that all of us would be impacted by the Enactus team and what they have to say. And Lord, just be with us as we go through the rest of this week. In your son's precious name, amen. You can be seated.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Okay, you can hear me now. Hello, and good morning, everyone. My name is Lindsay Groves, and I happen to be the Hazelton Chair of Ethics and Free Enterprise, as well as the Sam Walton Fellow, overseeing our Enactus team here at Roberts Wesleyan College. So it is my honor and privilege to welcome you all. So we have current students, faculty, staff, family members, community members, and we have a wonderful section of Preview Day students. So thank you for joining us on this wonderful and special occasion. As you all know, I do oversee the Enactus programs. So for some of you, you're probably wondering, what is Enactus and what does it even stand for? So Enactus in itself stands for Entrepreneurial Action Through Us. And what that means is our team comes up with creative ways to meet needs within either our campus, our community, or even abroad, and we come up with creative ways to do that. So today, you get the special privilege to hear some highlights of what our team has been working on for the past year. We're focusing this year primarily on the Rochester area, but we do have some projects abroad as well as some business opportunities too. Our team is ranked currently as one of the top 8 teams here in the nation, and Enactus in itself has an opportunity to present for different business leaders, CEOs, and executives across the United States. Enactus is an international organization, so we get a really cool opportunity to potentially go from nationals to World Cup to share the story that you're going to hear today. So just so you have some background on what today's going to happen, we have a presentation that's about 17 minutes or so long, and that what we'll do is we'll give a time for you to appreciate and applaud our presenters, and then we'll actually open the floor up for you guys to ask some questions. Normally in a competition time frame, we get about 5 minutes, but because we're new to this, or you all are new to it, we'll give you a little bit more time to do that, but we've asked you to freely pose a question. So if you have a question about something we've presented on today, or something that you know our Enactus team has done in the past, or you want some clarifications, or maybe you just want to give our presenters some feedback, and congratulations, we greatly appreciate it. So with that said, I think I'm going to ask our presenters to come up, and we'll get started here in about a minute or so.
All right, we're good. Rochester is a city in upstate New York with a history rich in social activism.
Among those monumental in this region's movement were Frederick Douglass, who fought for racial and social equality, and Susan B. Anthony, who advocated for women's rights.
Roberts Wesleyan College is located just 15 minutes from downtown Rochester and was founded in 1866 by a man named B.T. Roberts, which is also the name of my goldfish.
B.T. Roberts was a social reformer who dedicated his life to advocating for the poor, empowering women in leadership, and ending slavery.
We are the Enactus team from Roberts Wesleyan College, and we follow in the footsteps of our predecessors as we strive to empower the youth of inner-city Rochester.
In our needs assessment, we found the city of Rochester has more people living at less than half the federal poverty level than any other comparable-sized city in the U.S.
A report by the Rochester Area Community Foundation states, a family of 4 lives on less than $11,925 a year. These conditions are defined as extreme poverty.
Unfortunately, our city is now the only city of its size where more than half the children live in poverty.
Rochester has one of the lowest high school graduation rates in the United States at 54%, compared to the New York State average of 80%.
This dropout rate subjects our youth to serious crime statistics. The rate in 2018 was higher than the national violent crime rates average by 134%.
And if you feel overwhelmed by all these facts, imagine how these children feel, not knowing when they're getting their next meal, teens feeling pressured by gangs, and kids with no vision for college.
Our team has pioneered an entrepreneurial intervention plan for our Rochester youth, stretching from kindergarten all the way to high school graduation.
This comprehensive program includes projects Escalate for kindergartners, Innovate for 3rd to 6th grade girls, Elevate for 8th to 10th graders, and Accelerate for 11th to 12th graders.
This strategy empowers young kids to young adults to reach a level of confidence that enriches their local community.
These projects meet UN Sustainable Development Goals, number 4, quality education, number 5, gender equality, and number 1, no poverty.
Does a kindergarten intervention really impact the social and economic welfare of a community? According to the Journal of Educational Research, it does.
Kids who have a high-quality kindergarten experience are 11% more likely to graduate and 8% less likely to be held back.
Our Escalate project focuses on partnering with our Rochester kindergarten teachers, improving the quality education through small group interaction.
Our Enactus members go into kindergarten classrooms weekly to establish ways that the students can be helpful in their homes, in their classrooms, and in their communities.
When first meeting these little guys, many didn't understand or even comprehend what graduation was, let alone the concept of going to college.
In the city of Rochester, the number of children born to teenage moms in the year 2016 was 259. That would fill 12 kindergarten classrooms in the year 2021.
Many of these kindergarteners are growing up in homes where their parents haven't graduated high school themselves.
Our Enactus students become small group leaders who act as mentors and are often the first college students to interact with these kids.
The first words out of our escalators' mouths are things like, "Why are you still in school?"
Where's your wife?
How many kids do you have?
Have you ever had to run away from the cops?
Right there, we knew we had an opportunity to build a foundation. We guide our kindergartners to reach their true potential. Teaching them learning is a lifelong endeavor.
Each week, our Enactus members mentor 4 to 5 kindergarteners, developing a strong emotional connection and building a sense of trust.
During our weekly lessons, we incorporated interactive, hands-on activities that taught the kids the importance of taking turns, following directions, and working together as a team.
According to the kindergarten teachers and our education majors, these are some of the most essential skills for achieving success in the classroom.
And let's be honest, folks, not only the kindergarten classroom, but even the college classroom.
This year, Project Escalate helped 64 kindergarteners make their first year of school a firm foundation, putting them on target to one day see their own high school graduation.
In the words of Frederick Douglass, it is easier to build strong children than repair a broken man.
Knowing the importance of continuing the mentoring process throughout school, our team launched a brand new project this year to help bridge the gap between our Escalate and Elevate projects.
Project Innovate empowers 3rd through 6th grade girls by teaching them the basics of business.
This project casts a vision for these girls to be innovative and to become leaders, like Elizabeth Cady and Susan B. Anthony, who are pioneers in the women's rights movement.
A study in 2018 by Women in the Workplace found that women are highly unlikely to be hired into manager-level positions and are far less likely to be promoted.
Of Fortune 500 CEOs, only 21 of them are women, compared to the 479 that are men. This is a problem our team had to address.
With the cards already stacked against young women, our team equips young girls to walk in equality as we teach them to be innovators and leaders, satisfying UN Sustainable Goal number 5, gender equality.
The girls worked in small groups and were overseen by student mentors who educated and empowered them in the process of making a product.
Our student leaders from Project Full Circle then conducted a hands-on workshop with the girls, taking them through the steps of our Enactus jewelry business.
We brought in Roberts Enactus alum Renee Colon, who shared her story of starting her own coffee roastery and cafe, which just expanded in size for a 3rd time.
Inspired by Full Circle Jewelry and Renee's entrepreneurial story, the girls broke off into teams to launch their own small businesses.
Innovate builds a basic understanding of how to obtain a loan, create a budget, manage money, and develop a product.
The girls were then challenged to market their product using slogans, commercials, and digital marketing techniques.
did have a major power struggle in one of the teams where the kids were divided between making glittery hair ties or seashell jewelry. But in the end, they learned to compromise and created beautifully glittered seashell jewelry.
The day ended with a marketplace where Roberts alum, current students, community members, and families were able to come support and shop from these kids' mini storefronts.
Each team had a display of their products and performed their commercials for customers, which helped kick off the shopping extravaganza.
One team completely sold out of inventory and spontaneously offered hairstyling services, capitalizing on the opportunity to maximize profits.
Not only was this a success, but teams started to catch on and offered other services to their customers.
Another team even sold their marketing materials and advertising pieces, affirming their knowledge on the importance of generating a revenue.
All of the teams were able to fully repay their loans and made a profit.
Not only did we empower these girls by showing them females can be leaders in business, but also to believe in themselves when the economy around them is struggling.
Our innovators now aspire to be like Martha Matilda Harper, who in 1888 established the first beauty parlor in Rochester, manufacturing organic hair and cosmetic products, which now has over 500 factories around the world.
In 2014, Rochester elected its first female mayor, Lovely Warren, who was appointed 141 years to the day Susan B. Anthony cast her illegal vote.
Our team infuses confidence in these young girls to follow in the footsteps of their hometown heroes and leading female entrepreneurs who laid the foundation for women in leadership.
Now, before you get lost in the world of eights, let's recap of where we've been and where we're going.
Project Escalate boosts kids' confidence by giving them a strategic advantage from the start.
Project Innovate empowers girls to be innovators and leaders in business.
And now we introduce Project Elevate, the original 8 in our world of 8s.
Of the top 75 metro areas in the United States, there are only 3 cities that have a higher childhood poverty rate than Rochester, New York.
This means more than 25,000 youth under the age of 18 in Rochester are currently living in extreme poverty.
According to the Center on Education and the Workforce, the best way to break this cycle of poverty is with the power of a diploma.
A student who drops out of high school earns on average $17,423 per year. But graduating high school and finishing college increases annual earning income to $39,600.
That's a difference of $22,177 every year.
Unfortunately, Rochester has some of the lowest high school graduation rates in the country.
We wanted to clearly show our Rochester teens that education is a key element to breaking the cycle of poverty.
Project Elevate is a 2-phase project for 8th through 10th grade inner-city teens, casting a vision for high school graduation.
We expose the reality to our teens, that instead of being a victim of the problems in their city, they can be a part of the solution.
9th grade has the highest dropout rate in the city of Rochester, which is why we began Project Elevate with 8th grade to ensure these teens will one day wear a cap and gown.
Phase 1 consists of recruiting elevators through our community partners, who are currently working alongside teens with a number of suspensions, who are in trouble with the law, or are close to failing out of school.
We then recruited student mentors from Roberts who are committed to a year-long investment.
In order to equip our mentors for the process ahead, we provided multiple training sessions prior to the weekend launch to ensure they were well prepared.
Then in October, our Enactus team hosted 61 Rochester youth on our campus for the kickoff weekend of our year-long Elevate program.
The teens were then split into 8 small groups, led by their student mentors, to emphasize the importance of teamwork and collaboration.
This year, we equipped the teens with practical business skills by integrating the use of technology.
Our Restore Consulting project managers taught workshops on social media, videography, and website design.
These skills were supplemented with workshops on job readiness and money management. They also learned how to apply for college and make it affordable through grants, loans, and scholarships.
These workshops reassure the teens that one day they can attend college themselves.
Each team of elevators then brainstormed and created a 6-month community service initiative to confront the issues they felt were causing the most adversity in Rochester.
We were thrilled to see 100% of the teams incorporated the digital media tools they learned during their business technology workshops into their outreach project plans.
At the conclusion of the weekend, the student groups showcased their community outreach projects, demonstrating their understanding of how to best impact the city of Rochester.
In Phase 2, our student mentors worked alongside the elevators, implementing their service projects.
Using their newly acquired website skills, my team launched their own blog. They bravely share their stories about racism and sexual abuse to help raise awareness in the Rochester area and beyond.
My group of 8th grade girls has been plastering Post-it notes on the bathroom mirrors at their schools and local community centers with positive messages to encourage their peers.
This low-tech solution meets a high-need problem by putting encouraging messages in front of high-risk teens.
This same group of teens then use their high-tech skills to create videos of the positive reactions to these messages, causing the good news to go viral.
This blog and these videos are just a few examples of how our elevators embrace the opportunity to help build up not only themselves and their teammates, but also their community.
Over the course of Project Elevate, 93% of our elevators have gone on to see their own high school graduation, compared to only 54% of their peers.
Through Project Elevate, local teens are empowered to help their neighbors, while also catching the vision to break the poverty cycle through high school graduation.
Now, remember, Elevate is for teens in 8th to 10th grade, but in the past, we've had 11th and 12th graders apply to come back.
Apparently, you never know how good you have something until it's gone. Every year, we have previous elevators reapply and try to sneak their way back into Elevate.
We realized our former elevators have a lot to offer our younger students. This year, we decided to give a voice to those teens who want to give back.
Our most dedicated and committed 11th and 12th graders were selected to come back and serve as leaders, launching Project Accelerate.
In September, some of our Enactus members started meeting with our new accelerators for leadership training and project planning.
This is the first time in the history of Project Elevate where our target audience got to speak into the details of this important event.
Our accelerators helped plan this year's Elevate events and workshops, along with running some activities they created.
These 12 teens came back to work alongside our coaches, serving as team captains and role models for the 8th to 10th graders.
One of our accelerators even kicked off the weekend with his own inspiring speech, highlighting his experience in Elevate and why he wanted to be a leader.
Some of us were in tears as this 11th grader shared the ways his life has changed.
As an 8th grader, he never pictured himself graduating high school, and now he's a Black scholar and headed towards college.
Throughout the weekend, the teens took on leadership positions and helped with project planning, resource management, and team building.
In a few of our Elevate teams, the kids started getting off track and became restless. Some even started messing around.
And although our student coaches worked to get the teens back on track, our accelerators took the lead. They emphasized the importance of their community outreach projects and refocused the teens.
After the weekend, our student leaders met with the accelerators to debrief, talking about the highs and lows of this weekend.
Some tough conversations were had with our older teens about potential areas for growth in their leadership skill set.
The teens realized being in a leadership role is not just about power. It's also about respect and empowerment of your peers.
2 months later, we held a weekend leadership summit where we worked on their executive skill set, including communication, initiative, and being a positive influence. Let's hear from Darnell about his experience.
Just being here in this environment, like, it shows, like, it's real. It's real life, and this is what you make out of it. Like, I feel like anybody can make their life better. No matter what point you is in your life, you can make your life better if you wanted to, just by how you handle yourself and handle things, because it's never too late to turn around, ever.
Project Accelerate infuses hope in our local teens to pursue leadership roles and be an agent for change in their education, their careers, and society.
Using the UN Sustainable Development Goals, number 4, quality education, number 5, gender equality, and number 1, no poverty, our Enactus team transforms Rochester from kindergarten all the way to high school graduation.
Through Project Escalate, these kindergarteners are giving a sturdy foundation to be successful learners for the rest of their lives.
In Project Innovate, we empower young girls to be creative problem solvers and future entrepreneurs.
In Project Elevate, we are breaking the cycle of poverty by combating one of the worst high school graduation rates in the country.
Project Accelerate motivates teens to live counterculturally and take initiative to be strong leaders.
We are the Enactus team from Roberts Wesleyan College, and we follow in the footsteps of our predecessors, B.T. Roberts, Susan B. Anthony, and Frederick Douglass, as we empower the youth of inner city Rochester.
We will now open the floor for question and answers.
So nothing against women, of course, but wondering how come with Innovate it's only focused on young women? Wouldn't you say that the young boys that are growing up should just as well know these skills as the young women?
Yeah, so Innovate is actually really focused on young women for a few reasons. One being that we had a project manager come to us saying we see a difference in the girls in this grade level and that they're not respected. So we went in saying, okay, how can we address this issue? But also, this is the most important time for a girl to learn about her identity and who she can be as a leader. And so we want to focus specifically right now on girls in 3rd through 6th grade, but eventually we hope that we can expand the project to include boys as well.
Hi, does Enactus plan on implementing and promoting any other UN Sustainable Development Goals in the future?
That's an excellent question. So actually we have a large list of the UN Sustainable Development Goals that our projects address. However, those are the 3 that we wanted to highlight throughout our projects.
Thank you.
I'm seeing a lot of focus on the children. What about the parents? How do you help to uplift the parents of these children?
So currently we do only work with children, and that's because of what our team can handle. And right now we felt that when we conducted our needs assessment that children were really where we wanted to work with, and that there weren't a lot of programs that were targeting these age groups and that were working with them. And there are people who are working with adults, so right now we just wanted to focus on the children to break the poverty cycle where it starts.
And as for the adults and the families of the kids that we work with, a lot of times we see an impact on them as well, and as a family as a whole, as we're developing these personal relationships with these kids, and also in the process getting to know their parents and their extended family.
Beautiful, beautiful presentation. I really believe in what you do, and education is very important for young men and women. And so is a stable home life. My mother has a job that puts her in proximity to these children in the city, and she sees their home lives. And now, what are you going to do about the attitude of paying rent by having another child for income through child support? And how are you going to combat this with what you do? Will you educate teens and young adults that this behavior is neither ethical to their children nor a sustainable way of generating income?
Oh, well, that was a lot. I'm not gonna lie. So I'm trying to. Okay, what are? Can you just sum that up a little bit shorter? I'm not sure what you were.
How are you going to combat the attitude of having more children to pay the rent through child support? I don't think that's ethical toward children or sustainable.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's a great point. So through all of our projects, one familiar theme that we encourage is the entrepreneurial actions. So we're teaching them different skills and just giving them honestly an attitude that one day they can, start a business or go into business or do anything that they want to generate revenue, And I think that instilling those attitudes of the entrepreneurial and doing it in an ethical and an honest way is something that they can be encouraged by and inspired to go on and pursue higher education and eventually get jobs and things that they won't struggle with paying rent and relying on child support and things of that nature.
I think with a lot of those families, too, that's kind of like the last resort. That's what ends up happening when they feel like they have no other options. And so we're trying to combat that at an early age by saying you have a lot of options, and here are all of them.
So how do you choose what students to use for your projects?
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Can you repeat the question? I know they just took the mic from you.
How do you choose the students to use for your projects?
That we work with or on our team?
That you work with.
So there's actually an application process that our teens go through. So for Elevate specifically, there's an application that they're given, and we identify through the application process if they really are in need. But we also have community partners who identify specific teens who might need a little extra push, because a lot of these teens aren't going to do the application by themselves. They need a little extra. So either one of us or one of their community partners are constantly reminding them, hey, this could be really beneficial to you, and that's how we get them involved.
And then in regards to Project Escalate, we actually work with 2 schools that have been labeled by New York State as failure to thrive. So they're not really meeting their scores that they need to on their state exams, and they're just really behind some of their counterparts. So we work with those schools, and then we hook up with teachers and get contacts that way to really make the difference where it matters most.
Out of curiosity, why are some grades not included in the Elevate process, like 7th grade, 1st grade, and 2nd grade?
That's a great question. So we found that the highest dropout rate is in 9th grade. So we've started with 8th grade to catch those kids who might not see a future for themselves, to give them that hope and encouragement that they can go through high school, finish high school, and then one day get into college.
And as for the other gaps that you're talking about, we just added on the 2 new projects, Innovate and Accelerate, to try and fill that gap a little bit more. And we're in the process of hopefully catching all the kids where they need to be caught. So that's the goal ultimately.
This may seem obvious, but is there a cost for them to attend the weekend? The Elevate weekend?
For the kids? No.
So you said that you do mentor the students from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. Do you try and keep the same mentors for their students if it's the same children in all the way through, or do you try and change mentors?
We try to keep them with the same people. So I've been mentoring the same kids for the last 3 years because they came back and I came back, so it worked out that way. Sometimes it just depends on if the Roberts students graduate or come back. But if they are coming back and we know the same kids are coming back, we will try and put them with the same kids.
Can you share with us how many Roberts students are actually involved in Enactus and how more Roberts students might be able to get involved?
Yeah, so we're in the process of compiling hours for nationals, and right now on our spreadsheet we have had over 80 students from Roberts involved this year. And as we look forward, we are looking to push those numbers to even into the hundreds. If any of you want to join Enactus, anyone is welcome. It's not just a business club, really any major can join, and we're totally down to grow our family.
And if you don't believe that, I'm not a business major.
We have a sign-up sheet, so when we're done, give us your email and we'll stalk you.
We'll also be meeting tonight in the Pierce Cafe at 8 o'clock.
She right.
Great job, guys. I just have a quick question. What is the retention rate of the students who come to Elevate one year and then return the next year, like the students who are actually coming? If that makes sense.
I don't know if I know a specific number, but I've seen the same kids like every year that I've done it since I've come here. And the fact that they want to come back so much that they're trying to come back when they're technically out of the age range, and we've created Project Accelerate, I think just feeds into that factor that we know that they're coming back, they want to come back, they're bringing their friends. That's, yeah, I feel like that answers that question. Could you raise your hand when you start speaking? We don't know where you are.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hi, I noticed in a lot of your imagery and the pictures that you used, there were pictures of minorities or in particular African American children, and you talk about poverty. Poverty has no color, so what would you do to showcase what poverty actually looks like?
Oof, that's another good question. I'm not gonna lie. So, like the students that we have, it is what it is, and you're right. Poverty does have no color, but I think breaking down the barriers that can seem intimate in what we're doing is a focal point that we have. So, a lot of times we get questions of, well, you guys don't seem very diverse as a team. How do you even relate to these kids? And I think that's a fair question. It sparks a little bit of conversation out of me personally, but I think just even talking about personal stories. So I'm somebody, I grew up in the same area as a lot of these kids did. I grew up in the inner city of Rochester where there's kids I know that are serving life sentences for crimes that they've committed and things of that nature. So I think even just getting personal with these kids and being on a relationship where you can just talk to them and have different conversations and show them that, just because you may be a minority and I may not be a minority, that makes us no different. So while there is no concrete way to just prove to them that poverty has no color, I think just being honest and being genuine with these kids is a way that we can kind of push that initiative.
That was a great question. I'm looking at you all, and you look beautiful, you do. But I know that all of you have a lot of things going on. Some of you are athletes. Some of you are working in class, doing your classwork. There's a lot. What's the personal motivation for you being a part of Enactus?
We love these kids.
Yeah, and I can just piggyback, like I said earlier, I grew up in this area. I mean, fortunately for me, I moved out of kind of a rough neighborhood at a fairly young age, but I think even just seeing some of these kids growing up, right down the street from where I grew up is like, man, this is real, and this is something that I've got a burning passion for, that if we can impact however many kids, I think it's a victory for us, and that's something that I pride myself on going back and not, getting out of a rough situation and staying away from it, but going back and trying to help other kids continue to get out of that rough situation.
And to add on to what I already said, we also love our team. So we work together and we empower each other, and we all love these kids. We're all passionate about the same things, and we just become a family through that. So between that and how much we love these kids, we don't want to be anywhere else.
Hi, Ben,
friends.
behind you.
Bailey? Hey, first of all, I just want to say, congratulations. You guys look so clean. It's so impressive, and, you can definitely tell that you guys are very passionate. I actually have two questions. The first being, do you guys have opportunities for alumni involvement so that, when we graduate, we can, still pour into Enactus? And then my second question is, with topics such as, that you deal with, even do you have to run from the cops, or those heavy topics that you deal with in classrooms as early as kindergarten, what debrief do you guys offer as a club to kind of talk about those, and because I know for personally that was stuff that I never had to deal with, so how do you guys as a community kind of talk about that in a safe space?
So I'll answer the first question, and then one of you guys can take the second. So the first question, we have a mentoring process, not only between us and younger teens, but our alumni actually mentor us. So we have people, alumni who come in frequently, usually at least once a week maybe, that we speak to them and they help us. They might have been involved in the project that we were in, or they became a professional in something that we're interested in, things like that. So that's the way that our alumni pour into us, but also they come to our Enactus meetings a lot. So we get to speak to alumni who have already graduated, or people who are friends with our advisors and things like that. They come in and talk to us because they've continued to enjoy Enactus, even though they didn't grow up in Enactus, if that makes sense.
What was your second question? I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. It was just about it seems like you guys deal with really heavy topics police brutality, or home situations. So just how you kind of debrief in a safe and healthy way as a club.
Yeah, so actually for me, I've been working with my girls. We're the ones that have the blog, and we're working through some really hard stuff because as they share their stories, they're realizing they've been through a lot and more than I could ever imagine. So a way that I'm combating that is just being a support to them and, offering for them to get help, with a school counselor and things like that. So that's how we help them. And then as for us, we just talk. So we talk about it when our kids are having a bad week. We have weekly Elevate meetings, and those are just something that it helps us talk about our kids, where we're at, and what exactly we can be doing and doing best.
Hey, I didn't say this earlier, but great job as well. Two quick questions. The community, because it seems like you're pointing out that the inner city of Rochester is a really bad place. I don't know if I would want to go there after your presentation. Give me one thing, what is good? How do you point to the good things in Rochester and the inner city? And then what are there any community organizations that are already there, like churches that you are connecting with to help the kids realize their
Yeah, that's an
area?
excellent question. So one thing that my group of 8th grade girls actually did, we actually served a meal at Ronald McDonald House, which provides for families that have children that are undergoing huge eye surgeries or heart surgeries of that nature. And I think something that I learned personally and my group of 8th grade girls learned is Rochester is an incredible place for these really intense surgeries for small children. So we met a family from Belgium. They came all the way to Rochester because this was the one place that they can get that surgery for their child. So that was a really cool experience for not only myself, but also my group of girls, just to see how brilliant the medical field is in the city of Rochester.
What was your second question? This is our last question, by the way.
I think connecting the students to what are partnerships inside the city.
So a lot of the groups that we actually work with are really amazing family organizations that connect us with our teens that we work with. So not only do all of these other organizations work to better their own community and work with us to do the same, there are a bunch of different opportunities, and they are so involved with all of the work that we do, we wouldn't be able to do it without them.
Specifically, we work with a couple churches, one of which somebody on our team actually goes to, so that's helped connect us there. We also work with the Hillside School to Work program, and they've been a big partner of ours in the past few years.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for your time and investment. Before you leave, I just have a couple of announcements. For all of our preview day guests, if you can remain seated and give our faculty and students an opportunity to head out. But also, hopefully this chapel helps you connect your head, critical thinking, to your heart, the convictions of why you do what you do, to your hands of wanting to get out and make a difference. You all have a good day now. God bless.